if you guys could do me a big favor before you go through this review and just hit like and subscribe. We really love having you guys come to the channel. It's been a very fun thing. And team, what's going on? So today I'm going to do a little bit different of a video. I want to showcase the Makita chainsaw versus the Milwaukee. For those who don't know, I don't know if I've actually shown this in a video yet or not, but we use them to limb all the trees. Even though they're limbed, we want to get them nice and flat, so when we're draw shaving it, there's no limbs in the way. On average, this saw has limbed about 30,000 board feet a year for the last 4 years. It's in rough shape. We need to upgrade, so we're kind of looking at which one to get since prices have gone up. This is actually my dad's saw from the farm. He's barely used it. The thing's pretty much brand new. This isn't going to be like a sharpness or cutting test. It's more going to be about ergonomics, but this saw actually last time it was used was to unplug a round baler, and if you could smell it, it smells like cows. So we're going to kind of look at both ones. I know that the newer Makitas that I was actually looking at purchasing are pretty much the same in terms of ergonomics, as well as the Milwaukees. It doesn't look like from the pictures online that they've changed much. The only thing that I'm not sure of, and I'm not really doing an actual review of like the cutting power or anything like that, I think this can take a bigger battery. The only reason my dad bought a Milwaukee versus a Makita was because he had all Milwaukee power tools. I assume that these are typically sold to homeowners and maybe contractors, I would say. I really don't know what the purpose is of the electric saws. For us, you know, we're cutting inside a building. We aren't cutting big pieces of wood. We're just limbing with it. So it's quieter, it's a lot safer, and there's no fumes after. So I guess that's kind of what we get out of it. All right, so this is going to be our first run with the Milwaukee. I've been limbing with the Makita. First thing I noticed is the handle's a lot further apart, and weight-wise, they feel about the same. I mean, I'm not going to bring a scale out here for it. This one, it seems to spin a little slower, but yeah, it's just an electric chainsaw. I don't think there's anything different on that part. But the one big thing I noticed is the handles are farther apart. Where on the Makita, it's kind of more like this. Given that we're cutting this at waist level, and you see this wood right here, it's nicer to have it a little together, but I might be surprised. This might work great. So let's see what happens here. Well, that's too bad. Chain fell off. I had it on there pretty tight, but I guess it came off. So I guess that's kind of our first review right there. The chain comes off. The chain comes off on the other one all the time. These saws, I mean, when you're in there kind of tweaking around in these little knots on these trees, they just aren't made for it, you know. Like I said before, I don't know what the main market segment they're actually trying to find with these chainsaws. Or what their target is, but I know I don't think it's loggers. I think it's more like construction guys, maybe timber framers that are doing stuff. Yeah, I don't know that. So this is a Milwaukee bar, which this is the original bar for this chainsaw. It's been used at the farm, but Dad doesn't use it that much, and I mean, he hasn't used it in 2 or 3 years, so it is an older saw. It's probably about the same age as the Makita we have. Fortunately, though, the Milwaukee we have, fortunately though, the Makita we have, we've actually used it a shit ton. I mean, that saw has paid for itself many a time. Which I would expect the longevity on this saw to be, you know, very comparable. I think they're both very good brands in that aspect. One thing I just noticed here, kind of getting on here, is on the Milwaukee, the actual tensioner rod that goes in the bar, this part right here, that's on the external cover. And you don't have to have a screwdriver, you can just do it with your fingers, which I think for homeowners is probably a easier route. For commercial guys like myself, it doesn't really make a difference, but if you're a homeowner and you're kind of new at running the chainsaw, it's probably easier to have that done by hand. As well as on the Milwaukee, or the Makita, you don't need to have a wrench or anything like that. That one's just all, you can do it all by hand. So that's one thing that I just kind of noticed here. I'm like, okay, that's could be nicer. Like I said, for commercial guys like me, it's not a big deal, but if you're a homeowner, it just might be a little bit easier to use. So right off the bat, I do notice that this one's a lot quieter. It also seems to have quite a bit more power. Looking at the battery, it's still on 3 bars, as you can see. I don't know if you can see that from here. It definitely seems to have a lot more power. I mean, I did just sharpen it, but the Makita does give up after a while. That being said, the Makita's been used a lot harder than this one's ever been used, so I'm going to give that one a little bit of a break on that. Like I said, the ergonomics on this aren't really my favorite. It just seems kind of bulky for what it is, but it's definitely a lot quieter. This electric, the Makita, if it was brand new, I'm sure it'd be about the same, but it's definitely louder. There's actually an issue with the sprocket in here, which is why we're looking to upgrade it. And it's kind of looking for what, but it works good. So right off the bat, like I said, this one's ergonomically, it's just smaller, and when you're cutting up here at chest level, it's a lot easier to get out there. So this one's pretty good sharp. So I guess looking at both saws right here, we have to replace this one. This is the one that's been used. Like I said before, we've done 30 to 35,000 board feet a year for it. It's been here for about 5 years. Like I said, on the chain tensioner, you see this can all be done just by hand. You can loosen it up, take it off, tighten it up just by spinning this little thing right in there. I don't know if you can see it or not, but that is one thing. I guess if you're a homeowner, it might be easier. But looking at both saws, which would I go with? Well, pricing wise, I'm going to say that it doesn't really matter. And the reason why I say that is I spoke with a gentleman that kind of deals this, and he could get this with 2 batteries for about $450. Compared to the Milwaukee, I've seen them range everywhere on websites. I've seen them be for $350 with the battery. I've seen them be for $900 with 2 batteries. I'm sure that's because there's many different options on them and so forth. For us, we don't really need to have like the big batteries that last forever. We're inside, we always have access to electricity. Personally, I like the ergonomics of this better. It's just tighter to grip, easier on your hands. And like I said, when you're cutting up at chest level, this would be my choice. I think Milwaukee, if you're a contractor and you're only using it a little bit here and there, having something like this, because all the rest of your tools are Milwaukee, that's probably going to be the better choice. But for us, we aren't actually looking at tools based on brand loyalty. We just need a charger and a couple batteries, and we're trying to figure out what's the best to handle all day, because that's what we do. We handle it all day long. So yeah, those are my kind of reviews. Let me know what you think in the comments.